I welcome all the participant and learner here in the second session of Unit 1. The title of this session is Types of Communities, that is about geographical communities, communities of interest and virtual communities. So these are some content of my today's presentation, like introduction, types of communities, and then I'm going to discuss about the geographical communities, their concept, and then characteristics, likewise community of interest and virtual communities, and what are the things which actually overlapping between these three types of the communities. And I also going to discuss a little about the theoretical perspective to define these communities. Let's come to define the communities. So I have already discussed length and breadth in the earlier lecture regarding to defining the community. So here I just have to pick two definitions, which is actually mainly concerned about the virtual communities and community of interest, along with the physical communities, right? So as per the Bradshaw, this community frequently refers to a shared space or place as a substitute term for locality, but it exists beyond physical places or shared geographical location. So see, it's actually emphasizing not only the geographical location is the major characteristic to defining any community. So definitely virtual community and community of interest comes within this, this explanation. So if you look another definition, if you look into that, according to the Robert E. Park and Ernest W. Burgess, so where the community is the term which is applied to societies and social groups where they are considered from the point of view of geographical distribution of the individuals and institutions of which they are composed. So definition of community mainly fall into two categories. If you analyze all the definitions, in one, focus is on the notion of relationship, solidarity or interaction, and others main concern is place of neighborhood. In this context, community is described as encompassing more than just a physical space or locality. While it often refers to a shared area where people live, it also includes the social connections, interactions, relationships that bind individuals together. If you look into the Bradshaw definitions, where the communities transcends geographical boundaries, so highlighting that it can exist in virtual spaces as well, or through the shared interest and values, that is about the community of interest. This broader definition recognizes the importance of social bonds and collective identity. So beyond, if you go beyond the geographical location, what comes then as a important characteristic of any community, as we have discussed in earlier lecture, is about the social bonds, collective identity, so on and so forth. So moving ahead, so these are the three types of communities we are going to discuss today. One is geographical communities, second is virtual communities, and third one is about the interest-based communities. Under the geographical communities, it can further be subdivided into urban communities, rural communities, tribal communities. So if we look into this diagram, here I have mentioned, and actually it is a diagram just showing the neighborhood. So the rural and the urban, the streets, so this is what the geographical communities, where it has been defined with certain geography, certain boundaries, with certain kind of the habitats. These are the things, and where the people are living together. Second types, and today, urban communities, rural communities and tribal communities, we have to discuss it in very detail in the next session. So second type of the communities is about the virtual communities, which is the kind of communities which is here to stay. I mean, it is the modern day and kind of communities where there are a lot of examples like online communities, gaming communities, and so on and so forth. And also there are the interest-based communities like hobbyist communities, professional communities, activist communities as well. And we also have witnessed that there are a lot of the communities around the farming and all the farmers communities and all. So they are coming together in point of, and because of their charity, sometimes because of the kindness and help, they are connected towards the network. They have a strong network, they connect together. It gives a togetherness feeling. So this is what these are the three types of the major community we are going to discuss today. Let's start with the geographical concept. As a community as a geographical concept, which is considered to be the most original form of community explanation. right? According to the Brugman 2006, community needs to be embodied to have existence, meaning that it requires a physical space that symbolizes the community for its members and for those who are not part of the community. So this is not part of the community is very important because it gives you the feeling that you are the part of the community, and who are not living in that geographical location are not part of the community, right? The boundaries of these communities are often established with the recognized authorities such as panchayat, mohalla, municipal government, and so on and so forth. So, like we are living in somewhere in either in the village areas or in the urban areas, or maybe many majority of our population living in the slum areas that have also been recognized socially, and many slums have not been identified and recognized by their government. So these are the certain issues which we are going to discuss later on. So moving ahead, what makes a geographical community a community? I mean, what are the characteristics of the geographical community? The very first is about common location. This means that places such as towns and cities can be defined as communities with nothing more in common than they share the same location. Be it Delhi or any village or Bombay or Aligarh, even Agra, or any city of or any mohalla or anywhere. So because the community lives within communities, so you can take the example of any larger community or any smaller community, whatever. So on whichever is always having a common location as an important characteristic. Second, about the geographical boundaries, there are a lot of their definition, or particularly the earlier definition as actually characterize the community with their geographical boundaries. As a community worker, we are interested in the physical boundaries of a community, such as rivers, hills, or mountains. And at the same time, we are also investigating social interactions and individual perception of the community boundaries. So as a social worker, as a community worker, we have to look into this, particularly that community, the resources available in the community in that physical area, right? And as well as the individual perception, their interaction, their bonding and bridgings and all. So as a social worker, as a community worker, we have to look into these aspects of the community very keenly. Third very important kind of characteristic is about the common ties. Common ties within how it develops. So definitely is because of this common experiences. People living in particular geographical location, they usually experience similar kind of experiences. And so this experiences give birth to the bonding. This experiences further give birth to the bonding. Next, about the attitude, cultures or beliefs. Once you stay somewhere, live somewhere, you born somewhere. So in the last lecture, we have also discussed about the socialization. So with the socialization, either primary or secondary, we actually develop our attitudes, cultures or beliefs, and this socialization is being developed in certain geographical location, right? Next is access to common resources and institutions. Definitely, once you live in any particular geographical location where you share some common of the, wells or houses or mandir or masjid or roads or railways. So such things or such institutions or such resources you share commonly in your areas, right? So moving ahead. Next characteristic, that is social interaction, and here many a time I talked about social capital. Particularly, I do like this aspect of social capital, and because we have to look into this social capital. Social capital is what? It's about the social interaction as given by and defined by Putnam, right? Is a feature of social life, networks, norms, and trust that enable participants to act together more effectively to pursue shared objective. Some authors differentiate between two types of social capital, that is bonding and bridging. Before coming to the bonding and bridging, let's first define what is social capital is all about. So in nutshell and in short, if I would like to explain you what is social capital. So take an example in urban areas. For like, caring of your children has been taken by some creches or by some daycares, but the same thing, you need not to spend money where the social capital is strong. Particularly taking the example of rural areas or tribal area, your children could be taken care by the elderly, by your neighbors, right? So here you need not to invest any capital, to pay anything in terms of money. Rather, your social bonding is became a capital for you and that you use, and that is very instrumental for the development and sustenance of any community for longer. So, as two types of the social capital is there, like bonding and bridging. Bonding are like which is usually prevailed in the traditional kind of the society where face-to-face interaction, interdependence is high. Bridging is what? It's a little more formal kind of social capital. Mainly, you can see such thing in the urban areas where connection between members of various social circles are based on somehow as a formal way, or usually weaker than the bonding kind of the social capital. All right. Coming to the next characteristic, that is interdependence, and this interdependence depends on the social capital. So, social capital, the more the social capital is stronger in any community, the more the interdependence has been there. As English and Zillman has very beautifully defined that interdependence involves the mutual satisfaction of needs, emphasizing that when social capital is abundant in any community, its members are more likely to support one another, share resources, and collaborate effectively. This interconnectedness fosters a sense of belonging and enhances overall community resilience. Moving ahead, next type of the community is the community of interest, where Wellman and Gulia has defined that community of interest. See, you understand community of, geography-based community where it's mainly concerned about the physical spaces, and so once you live there, you share experiences and all such things, right? Here, it's about the community of interest. This community of interest could be in that geographical area and could be beyond that geographical area. It could be on some online forum or some kind of like maybe in some colleges and all. So this is what the community of interest, where the people come together because out of their common interest, passion, and sometimes because of their own and common identity. So as Wellman and Gulia has defined that a community of interest as a network of individuals connected by mutual interest rather than physical location. So rather than physical location, here is more concerned about the interest of network of individual, right? The bonds of such communities are based on shared concerns, hobbies, and professional activities, right? Rather than face-to-face interaction or neighborhood ties. So this is not much needed here, but professional activities is needed. Hobbies required, shared concerns are required, so as per the Wellman and Gulia. Similarly, Cornwell and Giventa has also said that the view of communities of interest as social networks where members share common values, common experiences, often coming together to pursue collective actions or advocacy related to specific cause. So here interest, cause, passion, these all matter, right? Anderson and McFarlane says the same. A community of interest is described as a group of people who share a common interest or goal without necessarily sharing a geographical boundary. So all these definitions talking about the concern, hobbies, sharing things, right? Rather than only the face-to-face interaction and physical proximity. Okay, moving ahead. A community of interest is made up of diverse people who join together because of similar passion, interest, activity, excitement, or experiences. In community of interest, by knowledge exchange, social interaction, and shared sense of identity that unites members and forms the foundation for an individual's personal identity. These communities, which transcend geographical limits, enable members to explore, celebrate, and deepen their common interest, as opposed to community of practice, which is focused on a common profession or talent. These communities illustrate how shared interests can unite people across different backgrounds and location, facilities, collaboration, and support around common goals. This could be on a virtual space, and this can be possible on any geographical location. So communities of interest are typically based on factors such as sexual orientation, social class, religion, culture, race, and sexual orientation. Like we can take the example of LGBTQ. So they are come together usually in every city, and particularly in the urban settings, they have very unite and they have their own community, right, around this sexual orientation. People in community exchange ideas and thoughts about the given passion, but they may not be aware about each other, not concerned, and not be aware about their personal life and personal things, which members don't want to share it, which is not in the part of the geographical community where the people living together and they are aware about each other, other than for what they are unite. So characteristic of community of interest are like they are diverse membership, means these communities can span various demographic including age, gender, profession, culture that I have already discussed. They shared passion, members are united by a common interest, hobby or passion, voluntary participation. So people choose to participate here in this kind of the community because they genuinely care about the topic, the idea, the concern, not because of any external obligation on it, right? Knowledge exchange, whenever there is a community of interest, the people are coming together and they come together on around certain issues, certain hobbies, certain things. So they definitely share certain knowledge. Collective identity, as everyone comes together, they have their own identity. Once they come into the community of interest, they develop a collective identity, being representative of particular community of interest, like farmers community, like LGBTQ community and all. So they have developed a kind of collective identity. Moving ahead, what are the importance of community of communities of interest? That is empowerment, resource sharing, social connection, networking opportunities. So empowerment is what that once you be there in particular community of interest, you share a lot of experience, you get a lot of the experience, you share the things. So and in respond to that, you became more empowered because you feel that there are someone else to support you or having the same idea as you have. So you get a kind of empowerment. Resource sharing, definitely once you be there, you share the resources. Social connection, by bringing individuals together who have similar interests, they create support system and connection that actually reduce the feeling of loneliness. Network opportunities, these communities actually facilitate the networking among individuals with similar interests, which can lead to professional connection, membership, and opportunities for collaboration. In short, communities of interest play a vital role in bringing people together around shared passion and goals, enriching lives and promoting collaboration across various fields and interests. Now, the next type of the community is about virtual community. So, as I have already discussed that three type of the communities we are going to discuss right now. So, this is virtual communities, and this community is what is here to stay. Means this is the kind of the community which is very prominent in present day urban society or urban community. Actually, human beings are inherently social and seek companionship always and social engagement whenever possible. So online communication or virtual communities respond to this social need of belongingness and togetherness and support. Technology enables network constructing new types of social relationship and consequently new type of communities, that is virtual community. So here the term virtual communities was very first time been used by Gene Youngblood in year 1984, years back or decades back, in his article Electronic Cafe. But it became so popularized and the credit goes to Howard Rheingold 1993. He actually, according to him, that virtual communities as a social aggregation that emerges from the internet when enough people carry on public discussion long enough with sufficient human feeling to join webs of personal relationship. These communities exist in cyberspace where individuals connect and communicate via digital networks. Next, by John Paces, talking about the same thing but just only via electronic media, added more things like email, chat, news groups to meet their social, educational or recreational needs. So this is also the kind of the virtual communities mainly somehow are developed around the community of interest. So according to the Wellman and Gulias, very beautifully defined that it's a group of people who may or may not meet one another face to face. So this is one thing which is very clear, who exchange words and ideas through the mediation of digital networks. Usually homogeneous of interest and attitude, but heterogeneous characteristics such as age, ethnicity, socioeconomic status. So they are the community not of common location but of common interest. All right. So the World Wide Web, which resulted in the computerization of community, gave rise to telecommunities, which are otherwise known as the virtual communities. As mentioned earlier, these virtual communities broke free the shackles of the definition of word community from its geographical boundaries. So what are the characteristic of online communities? Definitely, it is online interaction is there. Common interest, I have already discussed. Diverse membership, participant can from any range, any age, any culture, any background. Maybe they are from any other countries. So people are from like China or India or America or Canada. They can develop a kind of online communities on the basis of their own interests and demands and professional requirements and so on and so forth. Anonymity and pseudo-anonymity, this is again important. By disclosing their true identity. See, this is very important, and this is what they create a lot of the issues again. So many online communities promote candid communications and active involvement. So where there is no face-to-face, even beyond that, you're not aware about the characteristic of that person who are the member of your community. Flexibility and accessibility, you are flexible enough. And it is totally accessible. For geographical communities, you need to go somewhere. Sometimes for the community of interest, you need to somewhere, but for this kind of the community, it's about the lot of the flexibility and accessibility has been there. Importance of virtual communities are like global connectivity, emotional and practical support, knowledge sharing, advocacy and environment is there. So global connectivity, like they foster a variety of connection and intellectual exchange by the bringing people together from all over the world. See, this is what the very important aspect and characteristic of virtual communities. Emotional practical support. Online communities may be extremely helpful support systems, particularly for people who are following specialized hobbies or confronting difficulties. Knowledge sharing, by pooling resources, experiences and expertise, members can improve teamwork and overall learning. So what you people are actually, checking right now, and what we are connected through, that we are actually doing the knowledge sharing, and that is thanks to this virtual world and virtual communities. So advocacy and empowerment. So these communities have the capacity to provide people the tools they need to take up common issues, participate in group activities. So in short, we could say that virtual communities are important to contemporary social interaction because they provide places for cooperation, support, connection, knowledge gaining in a world that is becoming more and more, diverse. And digital world became so digital. So if I give the example, so this is the correct example, because right now whoever has joined this course, I along with all of you learners has actually developed our virtual communities where we are sharing the idea of how to work with the communities, how to intervene in communities and so on and so forth. So there are other characteristics as well, like connecting with people, progressing, learning and growing, combating loneliness, connecting to professional, opening up new avenues, personal development, conversation in your pocket, online counseling. World has witnessed that during the corona pandemic. So actually the communities come forward to support each other, right? So communities was the instrumental in actually combating with this problem of corona, and so we cannot ignore the fact of this virtual community, the role of this virtual community that also done a wonderful role during the corona period. A lot of the organizations, they did this counseling, on online counseling during this period. Definitely we all know that was the very problematic time for the whole world we witnessed, where physical contacts was not allowed, but social contact was there. So social contact was there because of this virtual community basically and mainly. Issues and challenges. Anything which is new, which always comes with some kind of the challenges. Nothing in this world is totally black or totally white. It's always a kind of the gray aspect in everywhere. So issues and challenges are like, as Matthew has defined that, what kind of community can be forged in an interneted world, where the structure of the technology promote anarchy with its emphasis on complete freedom of expression and lack of regard for authority. Is there any kind of confusion within this community or not? So there are, however, a number of current crises facing community. Loss of the sense of community based on place is a worldwide phenomenon. These are some kind of the challenge. Let's look into some more challenges, like false and misleading information. You all know that misunderstanding, confusion, the development of negative views can result from the quick spread of unreliable information. This all by being used by even the politics in the social sphere, in the political sphere, everywhere. Harassment and cyberbullying. This is toxic behavior. Being anonymous can promote harmful actions like harassment and bullying, which can stifle participation and create unfriendly situation. And people became who are actually being harassed. They are lost their confidence and comes into the anxiety aspect. Social detachment. Now we have seen that society became so individualistic. Everyone is busy in their own virtual world without giving so much due to their surroundings, to their physical surrounding, to their neighborhood, the traditional mode of interactions and the relationship. Inspection of quality is important. Dependency and overindulgence is so much high. We see that a lot of the issues has been emerged because of this over dependency and over indulgence. We actually don't rely much on our own cognition, and we are dependent on lots of the virtual aspect. So right now we are not talking only about the virtual things or general aspect of the virtual or AI rather. We are mainly concerned about the virtual communities, right? So don't mix both. And then cultural sensitivity. So here, in the virtual community, they are not cultural sensitive. Anyone can say anything regarding any culture in a particular community as well, because they are from various or varied backgrounds. So this is also one thing that we need to discuss, overlapping between the geographical communities with the community of interest with the virtual communities. So we have already discussed that the locality based communities and communities of interest can occasionally overlap, as in the case in the residential area, where a significant fraction of the population identifies as belonging to one or more particular interest group, such as slum cluster or even religious group in particular area, right? So in religious group in particular community is developed community within community. So this is what a group which has been formed particular community, and this is overlapping. You could say that this particular group of interest is lying within this community, or the group of youth within a community, or SAG's group. These all are the group of interest that lies within a community. So it's difficult to differentiate between these two, but definitely this is the general community and SAGs lie into this self-help group, that is. And then comes to the overlapping between the community of interest and virtual community. So I have already told you that all the virtual communities mainly develop around the community of interest, right? Community, all the virtual community, and if not all, at least 90% of the virtual communities has been developed on the basis of the interest. So I would like to discuss about the theories, that is about the social capital theory, and that I have already discussed about the social capital theory, that how this theory actually talking about the access of resources, information, support has been developed because on the basis of the kind of interaction, kind of interdependence, bonding and bridging within a community, and so that further resulted into good communities. So theories of these social networks, like particular social capital or even social identity theory, provide a foundational framework for understanding the dynamics of virtual communities and community of interest along with the geographical community. These theories examine how relationships and interaction among individuals shape community structure and behavior. Here is an exploration of how earlier social network theories apply to virtual communities like social capital theory and social identity theory. These theories are actually meant to explaining the geographical theory, geographical communities along and to defining their characteristic. But I just tried, and majority of the scholars and present scholars tried to relate these earlier theories to the modern day theory, that is the virtual theory. Virtual community, sorry. So that is what social identity theory, second one, is initially developed by Tajfel and Turner, explains how an individual's sense of self is influenced by their membership in the preferred social groups. According to this social identity theory, a person's identity is not only based on personal characteristics but also on the social categories they identify with, such as nationality, gender, ethnicity, or any other significant group affiliation. This sense of belonging to a particular social group contribute to an individual's self-concept and influence overall behavior and attitude and perception. So theories and models, whichever you want to take to adapt and to check whether the virtual communities is considered to be a community or not. So on the basis of these two theories, we can say that virtual theory virtual community is having all these characteristics, because as per the social identity theory, which defines that being the part of any community, whether it is virtual even, so you have developed a kind of, membership, kind of develop yourself being the part of that community. All right. So there are two slides I have just put it here to discuss why it is essential for a social worker or community worker to understand different communities. It is common to both the types of the community. Here, the first session is about the geographical community, virtual community, and community of interest. And the next session I'm going to take will be on the urban community, rural community, and tribal communities. So, recognizing context, if you are aware about the communities aspects, so diverse groups process, so you understand the context, right? So, you understand the context means what kind of the cultural things being there, what are the dynamics of the community, customs and necessities and needs. So, social workers can successfully adjust their services by having a thorough awareness of these circumstances, right? Recognizing available resources is very, very important, because if you understand what kind of the resources available, so social worker can develop the program easily and develop the support groups even, and to identify, after identification of the resources can be mobilized easily. Right, so mobilization of the resources could be possible only once you are aware about the available resources. Next is establishing connection. So rapport building, we as a social worker is a buzzword, because without rapport you cannot think about to go in any community. So establishing connection is so important with all the kind of the resources, be it humans resource or any kind of the physical resource or social resources. You have to develop a connection. Attending various needs, so you have to identify the needs. There are many methods we are going to discuss at the end of the sessions regarding how you can identify the needs of the community. So there are the need assessment approaches and tools and techniques are there. Next is strengthening to the call to action. If you actually realize that there is a need, you can successfully advocate for legislative reforms and resource allocation that benefit certain communities when they are aware of community challenges. So you can actually facilitate then only if you are aware and you have the courage to call for action as a facilitator, as an advocator. Encouragement of empowerment. Social workers can promote empowerment and community-led projects by identifying the assets and qualities found within community. This is very important. That is what then you can maximize the participation of the community if you use the assets and resources from that community only. So here resources means human resource as well. Proficiency in culture, social workers can practice with greater cultural awareness and participate for varied values and customs by having a thorough understanding of different communities. Again, this is very crucial. If you're going in a community with very, different culture, and definitely you're coming from the different background, different culture, you have to first understand the cultural demands and cultural values. Until you don't understand, you don't go with according to the culture of the community, you will never be going to be accepted by the community. So acceptance is prime prerequisite for the successful project implementation and successful implementation of any kind of the community work. Encouraging cooperation, that is what the and after understanding the community, you can encourage the cooperation, you can understand the dynamic, and you can understand the power structure, so you can maximize the cooperation from the community. So finally, I would like to conclude this of my discussion with that rise of this knowing the different kinds of communities, geographical, interest-based, virtual or traditional, offers important insight into the ways people connect, engage and build relationship. Every kind of community fulfills a particular function and fulfill a different need. So because every community is different, reflecting the various ways in which individuals look for support and sense of belonging. This is so important. So with this word, I just end my today's session. Thank you very much.